Yo, what's up, guys? It's Optic Retals. Today I am back with a top 25 list for the players at the major that is be playing this weekend coming up. I will actually be live from the event in San Diego doing a watch party, so stay tuned. Follow my Twitter for more announcements about that at Retals, and as always, enjoy the video. All right, so as the intro introduced you, I guess that is why it's called the intro. This is my top 25 players at the major. How good, not how good I think they're going to do, how good I think they are, who I think the 25 best players at the major are. I'm going to preface this with, these are the best of the best. I mean, obviously a few exceptions here or there, but these are generally the best players in the world. And most of these players are in groups, so there's probably 5 groups of 5 in these 25. Those 5 could be in any order, and I wouldn't be mad. I mean, some of these players, if they have a bad day, could be 25th. If they had a good day, could be 13th. I mean, it's really, these players are so close, a lot of them, and this is just what I see. This is, you know, taking everything into account. Again, your list is going to be completely different. If you're a pro and you watch this and you're not as high as you think you should be, sue me. Okay, so here we go. No one get offended. It's just my list. With 25th pick in the winter major, I have Mr. Scroll up slowly so I don't give anything away. KV1. I think he is currently the best player in South America. He's the only South American I have in this list. Sue me. Again, I'm sorry. But I think on the club, we played him at the wild card, and he wasn't great. Honestly, I think he was their worst player, but I think it was more of a pressure thing, and I've seen levels from him recently. He's a mechanical third man, which you can't ask for much more than that. He's a smart ones player that can do it all with the ball. So he is my 25th best player at this major. 24, I have Lockie, and again, he is what I have as the best player in Australia. I thought he was the best player last season on Pioneers. He got kicked, created a new team, and now they're the best team in Australia. So pretty self-explanatory. Again, not exactly KV1. Super Lucky actually reminds me a lot of Garrett or Andy. Those players those three are in the same group for me. Not skill-wise, but how they play. They're just all-around players. They do everything average at a pro level or a little bit greater than average. They don't have any flaws, and that's him for me. 23. This is going to be controversial, and I have a few of those. Chicago. He is my lowest NA player for the list. There's quite a few, not quite a few, but a few NA players that didn't make it at all. But I think this wasn't his best split by his own standards. I think that his role does get overshadowed a lot. You know, he does do the dirty work. He's very familiar with that. But I wasn't very impressed with him this split. Again, just my opinion. But this is a team that I think is going to turn it up at LAN, so I'm excited for that. 22, Mr. Redosin. This is what I think is Alpha 54's second-hand man. You guys, everyone knows Zen's coming in next season. I think Redosin is going to be the one to stay, and, you know, for good reason. I think, again, he can do it all with the ball. Mechanically very gifted. French, so always good. And, I mean, not too much to say other than that. He's just a good player. 21, I have CRR. This is someone who, in my eyes, has gone through a roller coaster. You have last season, wasn't really making RLCS too much, or if he was, they weren't great results. And then he goes to Gamers 8, gets second. You know, known he was the star for Guild. Comes over, Complexity picks him up for Shad. And honestly, I wasn't impressed with him at all. Ranked, very talented. Every time I played him in tournament, I thought, you know, kind of a choke artist. I thought he always underperformed every time I played him. And I just wasn't impressed at all. This split, I think he's improved a ridiculous amount in tournament. Again, very talented ones player. I think he has some flaws when it comes to decision making. However, he does make up for it in mechanical ability. He's gross on the ball, just like his partner in crime, who will be higher on this list. Again, honorable mention to AJG because they had a great split, and I do think AJG is really good. You can't fit everyone on this list, but I'm very impressed with AJG. And again, this is going to be controversial. I'm sorry. You're going to have to sue me. I'm not one to put... If a team is winning like Gen G does. I mean, they only won one regional. Again, one regional. They're still the second best team in North America. I'm not one to put all three players at the top. I don't think it's always an equal contribution. And again, Nolly's a fantastic player. He is actually one of my favorite players to watch. I think me and him play very similar, and he's been fantastic recently, especially on Gen G. But I think he does have some flaws defensively, and I think he has some flaws mechanically. Again, it's good enough to be my 20th best player. It's not a shot at all at Nolly. I just think he can improve on some things. Number 19, I have Mr. Jorus. Jorus, as you guys know, Oxygen Esports, who is looking, I think, I did my predictions a few weeks ago. If I did them again, I would probably change it because I think the Oxygen team is I think they're going to turn heads. I think it might be a finals appearance from them. I'm just in love with that team on LAN. I think they're going to be fantastic. And Jorus is part of that reason. Again, and I know I've said this about a lot of the players, but out of all 25 on this list, Jorus is top tier mechanically. He can seriously do it all. I mean, he has his flaws in decision making, whatever, but this is one of the players where you see him in the air and you just don't want to defend him because he is so unpredictable and can do whatever he wants. He can move his car in whatever way he wants to, which you really can't say for a lot of players. So, Jorus is at my 19. 18. I just scrolled 3 spots. Okay, we'll talk about them all. Atomic, I think, is the definition of a hyper carry. I don't think this G1 team is going to be fantastic. I think a top 8 would be very, very good for them. But if they do well, I do think it'll probably be because of Atomic. I've been very impressed with this game always. And, shout out to him for making his first major. Mist, this one might be low for some people. And I'd understand that. But I think maybe he's a little low for my standards too. Again, I don't think Mist has had his best split. But again, just like Lockie, just like Garrett I was talking about, Mist is one of those players that doesn't have flaws. He defends at a high level. He shoots at a high level. He can do good enough mechanically. He doesn't really have flaws in his game. The only flaws he has is when he doesn't play the game. He's always had grind problems. And if he shows up and plays a ton before this major, if you put him in the top 10 or around that 10, I wouldn't be mad because Mist has always been unbelievably talented. It's always been mindset for him. So, and then TRK, my only Saudi player on this list. If I'm going to be completely honest with you guys, I didn't watch any Middle East. Actually, I watched one grand final against Rule1, but that's all the Middle East I watched this season. So this is being ranked from previous lands, as in Worlds and London. And Worlds, I wasn't impressed with Falcons at all. They got 9th, 12th. And I think they should have done a lot better, with how much talent's on that team. And then London, obviously, they got 2nd. So who knows where this team can end up. And because of that, who knows where the players can end up. So I put him around the middle because he is unbelievably good. But he's a hard player to rank for me. Okay, let's not do that again. 15, I have Oski. Again, my EU knowledge is limited because I do watch European regionals. I don't watch all of them. I don't watch the group stages. I don't watch blah, blah, blah. I watch most of the semis and I watch all the finals. And Oski is, for me, the 2nd best player on Liquid. A Chronic definitely should have snuck into this list somewhere lower. I don't know where, but that's a misjudgment on my part. But Oski is gross. I think that duo of him and Atao is filthy. I do think Atao overshadows him a little bit, and I think Oski would get more flowers elsewhere because it's hard when you're playing with someone as fantastic as Atao is. But I think Oski he can go off. He's one of those players that can take the series in his own hands and do anything. So I'm excited to see him at the major. Number 14, I have the Bull. And this is someone who I've publicly been very, very, very high on forever. I mean, he came to North America last year in the fall split of 2021, and he was, in my eyes, the worst player in complexity. And I've never seen someone grind as hard as he did and put in as many hours as he did. And I think he is far and away. There's an argument to be made, but I think he's the best South American player that's come to North America. I think, obviously, there's going to be people arguing Yan. And, they haven't made the last 2 majors, and you see Ray is doing this. So, again, argument for another day, but Raise Bull is another, like Atomic, a hyper carry. He can defend an elite level, he can score an elite level, he can do it at the same time. And that's someone who you want on, if you have Raise Bull on your team, you want him on the ball a lot because he's fantastic with it. Very smart player too. Okay, number 13, my guy, Mr. Sipical. And this is probably high for a lot of people, but I do still believe Sipical is the smartest player in the game. I don't think that's changed. His decision making is top tier. First killer can be first killer with Sip, and I think if those two split up ever, it would be a dumb mistake. I think they play off each other perfectly. Sipical gets his hyper carry. First killer gets the dude who, when Sipical's behind him, you don't really have to worry too much. It's very rare that Sipical makes a mistake defensively. So that's why I have him at my 13. Number 12, I have Mr. Itachi. And this is actually a team I'm very high on. If you see Itachi's the lowest on their team at 12. I think this Carmine team is unreal. I do think the Moist team last year was better, but, you know, the tier wants to be with people that speak French. I 100% understand that. Itachi is, from what I've seen, one of the dirty work players. He doesn't care at all about what his stats are. And even going back to last year, watching him on Carmine with Nolly and Astral, I was blown away with how selfless he was. Just, I mean, he's one of the players that I watch replays on myself and try to learn from. And it's not many people I can say that about. I think Itachi is a genius off ball, and that's why I have him so high. Also very good mechanically, but you guys knew that. 11 is JNaps, and this dude is the blueprint. I'll never be able to explain it to you. It doesn't matter what he does. He could have 2 hours a day. He could have 10 hours a day. He's the exact same at all times. He could change his sends to 8 aerial sends or 1 steering sends. It doesn't matter. He's JNaps always. And this was a crazy split from him. He shoots the ball at what I think is the best level in the game. He's very fast. He's very good at wall reads. He does make some dumb decision-making mistakes, and I think he's very easy to demo. But other than that, he's unreal. So that's why I have him so high. And I do believe in this G2 team online. I'm excited to see them. And we're into my top 10. This is where it'll get interesting for a lot of you. And I know a lot of you guys are going to hate who I have soon. And a lot of people are going to hate who I have higher. You'll have to live with it because it's my list. Your list might be different. And that's okay. We're all entitled to our own opinions. But we have my boy Giannis Alpha. Obviously, since I came up, I mean, we made RLCS in the same season, season 8. He's been unreal since then. I mean, he's like Mist, and it's said a lot between pros, and you'll hear it on Twitch streams if they ever talk about it. Mist and Alpha are probably the two, and maybe JNaps are probably the two most naturally talented players to ever play the game. They don't have to play the game, they'll be good. Alpha is known for being on 2 to 3 hours a day and just being filthy. It doesn't make any sense. But now he's finally got 2 teammates who I think benefit him really well. I'm very excited to see what he does. And again, watch out. We haven't seen him at an international LAN in a while, but he's going to be gross. Number 9, I have Exotic. His name has 2 eyes, doesn't it? I think it's spelled like that. I don't know. Gross. We played him. I played him for the first time in World's Wildcard, and he 1v3'd me. I don't care who you're a fan of. Go back and watch that series. He was filthy. He was an unreal carry, and now he has Vatira. You don't have to do that with Vatira. He's very, very, very good at taking people out of the play. I mean, dribbling skills. He has it all. He's the complete package. I think he is one of the most underrated players in the league. Number 8, I have Archie. You could argue him higher. You could argue him lower. Matter of fact is he's in the top 11 to 10. Whoever you are. You could hate him. You could love him. He's gross. He shows up on LAN every single time. He is... Him with Rise, I was a little worried because I do think they're a little similar, or at least they were before they played together. I think they're a little defensive. They shoot the ball extremely well. I mean, again, they can do everything, but I was worried about, you know, maybe they weren't going to be aggressive enough. They figured it out. They're gross, and Archie is in my top 8. Okay, listen to me for this next pick. Appjack. And I know a lot of people would have him higher. People have him 3, 2, 4. I get that. And I really do. Jack is someone whose mentality I look up to, or the mentality I look up to the most. He grinds unbelievably hard. He is someone that wasn't always blessed with great mechanics and wasn't always able to get himself out of awful situations that they put themselves in with mechanics, which a lot of players on this list are. They make dumb mistakes and their mechanics bail them out of it. Appjack's never had the luxury of that until he came to NA, and then he got insanely better mechanically and kept his game sense. I think he's a fantastic player. I just think the 6 above him have that extra mechanical oomph that he doesn't. That's it. That's the only reason. He's fantastic. Number 6, I have a Tau. And honestly, I wasn't too familiar with the Tau when he came up, and now everyone that watches European esports obviously is. He is unbelievable. He's going to be in the league for years to come. He's gross. Like this, he's undeniable. So I don't have to put into words. Everyone knows how good he is. Top 5 time. Who's my top 5? I mean, if you follow along and you've watched these before, you probably know who's left, but I have Chronic. This might be a little high for some people, and I'd understand that. If you want to switch Appjack and Chronic, I get that. I think every time I play Gen G, and this wasn't... Chronic was a bubble player. A very talented, very, very, very talented bubble player before Gen G. Appjack and Nolly is by far one of the best duos you can put a young mechanical player into. You have Appjack, who, great mentality, doesn't get scored on much, doesn't make a ton of mistakes, shoots the ball well. Appjack is very rarely the reason your team gets scored on. And then you have Nolly, who is unbelievably good at saving boosts. He's unbelievably good at taking people out of the play. He can score his mechanical stuff as well, but he is very good at disrupting and giving your team space. So when you put those two together and then you put a filthy mechanical player on that team, he's just going to look like God. And so far, he's looked amazing. This split, he's been fantastic. He's been the best player in Gen G for me, personally. Would he be as good as he is without the 2 teammates he has? Probably not. But we're not talking hypotheticals. We're talking what he has right now, and that is what he has. So he's at my 5. At my 4, I have Atomic. Atomic is also a very hard player to gauge for me. He's always near the top 5 somewhere since he joined G2. That system's perfect for him. He is, in my eyes, the most unpredictable Rocket League player. When I get on a field with Atomic, I have no idea what he's going to do ever. And that's the same with his movement too. Probably the hardest player to demo in the league, or in the esport. I don't know what it is about him, but I think I said it with Oski, and I mean most of these players you can say it about. Atomic, it doesn't matter what his teammates are doing. Atomic he can drag any top players to a world championship or a major championship. He is that guy. Not to say that he has to do that with Chicago and JNAPs at all, but he is another example of one of those hyper carries. He doesn't need much to get going, and I think it's very rare, outside of, you look at it, you have Oski, you have, I think Raze can do it, Sip, maybe not, Itachi, maybe not, JNAPs, maybe not, maybe Alpha, but it's very rare how consistent he can be at it. I mean, he can do it all the time. So I'm at my 4. Hard way to describe that. At my 3, I have Rise. Another hard one to rank for me, but the one thing I will say about Rise, and the reason I put him so high, is every single LAN he performs. I think the only LAN I've seen him at where I wasn't super impressed with him was LA. I think in our series against them in LA, Vatira was far and away their best player, and I think Rise was... I don't think he was handling the pressure very well against us in that Game 7. It's a 1-game sample size. But other than that, he's one of the iciest players in the league, one of the most clutch players in the league. He shoots the ball at a level that's comparable to JNAPs, and that's why I'm so high. Okay, it's my 2 and 1. You've guessed it. You might not have guessed what order I have it in, but this is it. First Killer at my 2, Vatira at my 1, and I'll explain it in one big reason. I think First Killer is the best pure Rocket League player in the history of the esport. I don't think it's going to change. He doesn't have to rely on super flashy mechanics, even though he can do all of them. He is... I don't know how to explain it, and it's really only explainable if you've played against him, but he knows what you're doing 3 seconds before you do, which is unreal. His game sense is among the best. But the reason I do have Vatira above him is I think Vatira knows how to win. I don't think Vatira is a better Rocket League player than First, but if I am looking for a teammate, I'm picking Vatira 10 times. Oh, I just broke my list. I'm picking Vatira 10 times. I'm picking Vatira 10 times out of 10. He is, in my eyes, the perfect teammate. He wants it unbelievably bad. Super efficient. It feels like he doesn't get nervous. And the biggest thing that I do think he has over First Killer is that whatever his team needs to win, Vatira will do it. It's First Killer is often known and referred to as the First Killer show. And if I was First Killer, it would be hard to let anyone else have the ball because of how good he is. But I think Vatira is he's the biggest enabler in Rocket League. He makes everyone around him better, and that is why I have him at number 1. So let me know what you hate about the list. If you hate all of it, tell me. If you love all of it, tell me. Again, none of you guys are going to agree on every single placing, and that's impossible. So, as always, the major is in. I'm posting this on the 3rd. Major's on the 6th. I leave on the 5th. Wow. I'm actually doing a watch party at the major, so go follow my Twitch, Retals RL. Go follow my Twitter at Retals. I'll tweet about it. It'll be streamed. Super excited about it. And yeah, this was the list. So, as always, if you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and comment. I'll see you guys next time and at the major. Peace.